Well, hey, Paul, we talked about the bullpen just a second. 21 losses in games last year where they had the lead and a 7.06 ERA from the bullpen. Something about Harry Truman or Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover was president the last time a bullpen had an ERA of that. They come out of spring training. Again, it's spring training, but Joe Girardi seems to be probably happiest with that bullpen that he has now. Of anything that's improved, he seems pretty fired up about what he's got now.
I think the Baseball Writers Association of America passed a resolution that first you refer to the Phillies bullpen as historically bad. I think that's a rule now. But it should be. So if you were historically bad, you've almost got to be better, right?
Yeah.
So, and they do have some new faces. They've got some good arms. Good arms don't always translate into success. But at least it's they changed it up and they brought in some guys. Last year it seemed like, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it seemed like they were so concerned about the luxury tax. They had some veteran guys. They didn't keep them. They went with the younger and probably cheaper guys, and it really didn't work out the way they might have hoped. So this year we're going to be watching some guys who have had some success at the big league level. Relievers are notoriously up and down, so you don't really know what you're going to get from year to year. But on paper, it could be a vast improvement over what everybody had watched last year.
Well, we heard from Joe Girardi in the last day or two that Neris will be the closer, at least to start the season. Hopefully that'll go well. Jose Alvarado was in the running for that job, and he looked great early in the spring. The last couple of outings, so he got hit around a bit. He's intriguing, though. He can throw 100 miles an hour. He can really, fool hitters. What do you expect from Alvarado? Is he going to finally, show some consistency?
I have no idea. You look at the Tampa Bay Rays and their track record with pitching, and they pretty much let him go. So, they obviously didn't think they could get it out of him. But then again, I'll give you Jake Arrieta with the Orioles. Very mediocre starter with the Orioles, goes to the Cubs and has one of the probably the greatest single seasons in the last 20, 25 years. So maybe a change of scenery, maybe, hearing the same. I'm sure he's going to hear the same peer he heard in Tampa Bay, but sometimes when you hear it in a different voice with different words, maybe it sinks in. Maybe he matures. I don't know, but you start with the arm, and he's got the arm. But we all also know that a lot of great arms just don't get people out. You got to throw strikes, and you got to throw them consistently.
Connor Brogdon, he's a guy that I really like. I think he's got a great arm, young guy. It looks like they have him slotted kind of in the seventh inning spot. What's the process, Paul, to get for a guy with a great arm that you see, but he's young, of not putting him in that eighth or ninth inning slot too early, I guess? What do you have to do to earn that slot? Because that kid's got a great arm.
Yeah, I think you just go out and pitch. You go out and succeed. And if you do that, you will get your opportunity. The sabermetricians will tell you that the inning is not different from the eighth inning of the seventh inning, and you should put your closer in the high leverage situation, even if it's the sixth or the seventh. And I understand that on a hypothetical level, but I have seen pitchers who are great in the ninth because they need that in a save situation, and they aren't so good if they're not in a save situation. I've also seen pitchers who are great in the seventh and eighth who just don't seem to want to be in the ninth. So there is something, it's obviously not physical, it's mental, but there's something different about it. I am sure that as his career goes on, maybe not this year, but if he pitches well in the seventh, there will come a chance for him to pitch in the eighth. And if he pitches well in the eighth, I'm sure there'll come an opportunity for him to try and see what happens.
Paul, I thought this guy would be gone finally this year, but Vince Velasquez still around. How are they going to use the much maligned Vince Velasquez?
Vince is a guy that, to repeat what I just said, just because you have a great arm doesn't mean you can get people out. I remember the first spring that Pete McCannon was the Phillies manager. The Phillies had just gotten Vince Velasquez. I went to lunch with Pete. I was doing a story and just talking about all the new faces. And he went with Vince Velasquez. There were about 12 or 15 guys on the list. He went right to Vince Velasquez and said, "This is the guy I can't wait to see. This is the guy, the stuff I've heard from him about him, I just can't wait to see this arm." And then, of course, his first game for the Phillies, he has that great start, first week of the season, and he's never really come close to replicating that since.
Yep.
It comes strikes. I think with Vince, he's got to throw strikes with authority, with confidence, with a belief in those pitches. And if he can do that, he's probably still got a chance. But I'm like you. You just get really tired of waiting to see it.
Well, another thing that's going to be fun to watch is the development of this pitching staff. I like their first three guys who we're going to see over the next 4 days. That, of course, would be Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and Zach Eflin. I think Eflin's going to have a good year. I just feel that he's going to have a breakout year, and I hope I'm right. What do you make of these first three, and then what can we expect from the guys who are currently 4 and 5, Matt Moore and Chase Anderson?
They all obviously have an upside. Aaron Nola finished third in the Cy Young voting a couple years ago.
Yep.
He has not pitched to that level since. He seems to have worn down a little bit in the second, later in the season since then. But he's not old. He's still young. I would hope that he has made some adjustments, maybe in his conditioning routine or whatever. But he's a location guy, and if he's locating, he will be very effective. Zach Wheeler, I think, showed everybody why the Phillies gave him the money they gave him, and Zach Eflin has shown us stretches before, 5-6 starts at a time when he looked really, really. So it's just a matter of consistency. He's got to, be able to have more of those good games and fewer of the less good games. As for the last two guys, I don't know. I'm not really too familiar with them. I know that, the Phillies, at least they have a left-hander in the rotation to start the season now, which is something that for quite a few years they didn't have. So I think that's good. But, I think that's a fluid situation. Fourth and fifth starters, they'll get their chance. And if they don't perform, I'm going to guess that they will not be in the rotation all year.
All right, prediction time, Paul. We know what the NL East looks like. The Braves are a real good team. The Mets have improved. The stinking Marlins made the playoffs last year. Washington has that great pitching staff. The over-under for the Phillies is 80.5. How do you think the 2021 Phillies are going to do, and can they get into the playoffs?
Can they? Yes, of course. Of course they can. Will they? That's a whole different question, right?
Yes.
I think if I were a betting person, which I am not, I would take the over on the 80.5. They were basically a 500 team last year with, an historically bad bullpen.
Yeah.
You would like to think that Rhys Hoskins will be better, talked about. Andrew McCutchen is a full year removed from his injury. I think the first three starters are very solid. So, there are reasons to think they're better. Of course, there are reasons for the other four teams in the division to think they're better too. So I think it's going to be really a slug-it-out division. It may come down to breaking even in your own division and trying to do well against the other divisions, or beating up on the lesser teams in the other divisions. But I think they should be a playoff contender, with just the normal amount of injuries. I think they should contend. Whether they can get over that hump or not, I don't know. I look at the Mets. I think Francisco Lindor is such a good player. I'm not sure that National League fans really understand, if they haven't seen him play a lot, how good he is. I think that's a terrific addition for the Mets. But the Mets, the Mets are the Mets. It seems like in the last 10 years or so, something always goes wrong for them.
Yes.
So that's something they've got to get over. The Braves obviously are a very good team. They have to be favored. It should be a really hard-fought division, and I think that's going to make the games all even more interesting and fun to watch than they normally are.
All right.
Absolutely. Well, Paul, we have run out of time already. We certainly appreciate you coming by and joining us. It's always fun. All right, Chet, we have to make some predictions.
Well, as of last week, Bill, the over-under win total for the Phillies was, according to Vegas, 80.5. Now, of course, the team hasn't finished above 500 since 2011, that glorious year when they won 102 games and then made an early exit in the postseason. That's going to change this year, Bill. As Paul said, take the over. The Phils are going to go, I'm going to say 84-78. I was leaning to 85, but I'm going to be a little more cautious. 84-78, which means they will just miss out on a spot in the postseason. Write that down, Bill. 84-78.
84-78. So you're saying they were 81-81 last year, right?
Well, last year was the short season, so they were like 29-31.
Okay, but they were still right around 500. So
yeah, the previous year I think they were 80-82 or 81-81.
Yeah. So 21 losses, as I said earlier, in games they had leads. I'm going to say this bullpen is going to be a lot better than that.
Uh-oh.
So I am going to go. I'm not going out on a limb. I'm just going to go out there and say they're going to win 87 games.
Woo!
87 games.
I'm rooting for you, Bill. I would love to see you be right because that might get them a wild card spot.
I'm not sure they're good enough to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be better. There's no reason that the offense isn't going to hit the ball. They have 3 quality starters. Maybe the 4th or 5th guy could do something for them. Hold the lead at the end of the game with this bullpen, and they'll win a lot more games. So I'm gonna reach out. I'm going to depend on the bullpen. If they fall apart, well, what are you going to do?
I don't have a gambling problem, but I may have also put some money on the Phillies over.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
There you go.